come one, come all, nothing but love, nothing but respect. You know what we do, what we don't, what we is, what we isn't, and what we is here today, bringing you guys and girls One Piece chapter 1047. We're doing our usual weekend live discussion for it. Today I've got with me Eggs for Brekkie. Eggs for Brekkie, say hi.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. So you, okay. I guess we might as well just address this straight away. I really like the chapter, but I know that you voiced a bit of potential disappointment in the chapter when you first messaged me about it last night.
Yeah, I thought it was hype. Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed.
Do you want to just break down your thoughts on what, in your head, what disappointed you?
So the idea is that I love Luffy's fruit, and I love the awakening, and I love him having freedom and all that stuff. I think it's all really cool. But it has seemed like since he's awakened, even though he's been kind of toying around, he's still been getting kind of smashed. Every time they have like a proper exchange with him against Kaido, he gets walloped, and especially in this chapter, he basically just got walloped the entire chapter. And then right at the end, he flies up into the sky and he finally starts using Haki with his awakening, and he creates his big fist. And it seems to me like they're basically saying, because they were saying multiple times throughout this chapter, or they've been really digging it in recently, that Kaido is right at the end of his limits. And Luffy's like, I'm finishing this for good with his giant fist. So to me, it's like it's a little bit disappointing if he just punches him with his fist and then the fight is over, because it feels like to me that Kaido is still sort of stronger than him. Like every time they're fighting hand to hand, Luffy's just getting wrecked the whole time. So I would like to see the fight a little bit more serious first. I'd like to see Luffy using Haki properly, normally, in his gear fifth and fighting Kaido toe to toe. I feel like back before he awakened, when they were fighting toe to toe with each other, when Luffy was doing like gear three Haki punches and they were like toe to toe, that to me was like really cool and badass. And I was looking at it and I was like, man, like Luffy's like matching a Yonko here. But now it just seems really weird and out there.
It feels like a weird mix between he's both equaling him and not equaling him at all.
Yeah, it's like he's getting completely clobbered, but then he just wins anyway.
Alright.
So when it comes to power scaling, it's like, oh well, could he beat Blackbeard? It's like, I don't know. Blackbeard would probably dumpster all over him, but he'd win.
See,
Luffy would win because he won against Kaido, so why not? Like, I don't know.
I see what I see what you're saying here, and I guess really the answer will come whether or not this final hit.
Is the final hit?
Yeah, um, might as well jump straight down to the end of this chapter and work our way from the end back up. Honestly, because
Mm.
it may be more simple that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Um. So Luffy gets in the sky and does. I don't even know what he's gonna name this. Like, you know, a
Yeah.
king,
I'm
kingity
thinking.
king conqueror's Kongan.
So what I'm thinking is something like Mjolnir. Um,
Mm.
because it's basically just like a giant fist, like a giant hammer. Um, and he's a god, so godly names. And then also, it seems like, because you can see there's black lightning striking off of it, but it also does look like maybe that's just behind the fist, but it looks almost like there's actual lightning coming off the fist, like he's lightening up the fist, which would be cool if that's the case.
Honestly, now that you've mentioned that, it does kind of look like, in a weird enough way, it does look like it's coming from behind the fist. But it would almost be interesting if he's grabbed a lightning bolt while he's got the
Yeah, like
fist.
so it's like inside the hand. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like that's it sparking out because as we saw, he can turn the
Mm.
lightning rubberized to hold, and it doesn't dissipate until
Yeah.
he releases it. So that
Yeah.
that could be an interesting like variation on this, where he's like holding a handful of lightning and it's like sparking out the side as he does an
Mhm.
advanced conqueror's Rio punch the size of an honestly, it's the size of an island.
Yes, it is
Which
ridiculous, and it's really hype, and I do like it. Like I like that he's doing it. Um, it just scares me because they keep going on about how Kaido was so close to his edge. So either Luffy actually hits him with this, um, and it should take him out. Like you'd hope it would take him out, that close to his edge.
I
But I
feel
kind of hope that it doesn't. But at the same time, I don't want Kaido to dodge it because it would be like last chapter I mentioned to you. Like, there was a lot of hype around that him holding the Thunderbolt, and then in this chapter, Kaido just sidestepped it and it did nothing.
I feel like there's a big difference between being at the edge of your limit and not having the spare energy to hold up an island. If that makes sense.
Right. Okay. But I mean, I guess like the translation is these at his limit, which is why I'm
Yes.
using that language.
And I don't like I'm not saying that your interpretation of that's wrong because realistically, pen to paper, that's what we're being told. But my questioning comes from why do they know that? When has Kaido been at his limit for them to be like this is all he's got left in the tank?
Well, so you know how everyone's saying like, oh, like what if Kaido is already awakened and that's why he's doing, we were saying like
Yep.
maybe that's why he can do stuff from his club and from his body in this chapter. Um, when Luffy goes into his awakening form, even though in reality he's like super shrunk up and he's like almost dead. He goes into his awakening form when the beat starts going, he just goes back basically to full health. Like he's
Yep.
still tired. He's basically in terms of fighting capacity, he's at full health. So it's possible that like Kaido right now he's always able to fight at max capacity, but right now he's like near death, exhausted. If
Maybe
he came at that awakening.
it is there is the potential there for it. It's just I sit in the hard in between here where I'm like this attack is going to hit Kaido, and it is going to hit Kaido hard. And it's like that quote that I sent you last night, and I think I've got a copy of it on hand to actually read out if I need to. Yes, I do. The quote from Oda from 2016. Um, when Kaido appeared for the first time, I said that Luffy can't defeat such a strong character yet, and I'm yet to know how Luffy would defeat Kaido. Probably my audience will not be satisfied if the reason for defeating Kaido is just because Luffy's punch is so strong. Luffy and I will have to find a solution somehow. I sit in the awkward in-between at the moment where I go, well, does the Advanced Rio and Advanced Conquerors count as more than just a punch? In Oda's mind?
I agree, yeah. And
Or is
in a
it...
sense, it is kind of poetic that he does just beat him with a punch, but it's so much more than just a punch.
Yeah.
But I kind of see what you mean. Like, it would seem like, oh, didn't Oda kind of say that he wasn't just going to punch, like, beat him with a big, strong
Yes.
punch? At the same time, it's kind of like, oh, but this isn't just a big, strong punch. So, I get exactly
And
what you mean.
and like
You can go back and forth on it.
yeah. And until next chapter or the chapter after, like until we get the body right sprawled out, I'm gonna hold out the potential that this may keep going because at this point in time, I'm looking at this hit here, and I'm going, I want, like, up until now, I've been like, I kind of want the arc to wrap up, not just because, like, I'm not fatigued with the arc. I've found this arc is amazing, and I love this arc. It is one of the best, if not the best arc in the story. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I want to see repercussions for things. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I struggle to cement the go like this hit and being hit with an island-sized Conqueror's Rio punch that may or may not have regular lightning in it as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
That should be an island-busting hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That should take out Kaido pretty reasonably. Yeah. But the other part of me is like, and like I don't know if you notice this and that, Kaido's still pulling out new moves. Like this chapter, Kaido brings out 3 new moves,
True, yeah.
and to top it off, we actually see for the first time in the entire arc, outside of potentially Thunder Bagua, Kaido use Shave, implying that he's always been capable of using Shave. So even if we want to turn around and say that this attack beats Kaido, Kaido has not been fighting, arguably, to his full potential in the full vein of him trying to win no matter what. You know what I mean? Because, and like I know we've had this disagreement slightly in the past and that where it's like Kaido's fighting and he's fighting seriously here, but there's a big difference between fighting seriously and going. Kaido has Future Sight and Shave, and he has one of the hardest hits in the series, right? At the beginning of the fight, where he's letting the 5 Supernova get hits in to see how strong they are, that's one thing, because he wants to build up to a challenge, right? But when he's like, acknowledging Luffy, and he's like, yeah, no, you know, I comprehende, brother. Let's go for Golden Nut. Why he would let himself get hit when he has full capability to not? It's sort of like Frankie versus Senor Pink. Frankie was definitively stronger than Senor Pink because all Frankie did to beat Senor Pink was punch him. He had heaps more in his arsenal he didn't use. It was just a, oh, you want to sort of, you know, punch for punch sort of situation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But now it's sort of like with the Kaido thing, it's like the way I view it and the abilities that we're seeing him even pull out now, which if this is the last hit of the fight, it's like you could have been using this hours ago and the fight would have gone a very different way. Yeah. And maybe that's self-sabotage on Kaido's part. I mean, he's a guy that wants to commit unaliving, but
tell you what, just for argument's sake, I would say like Thunder Bagua is essentially using Shave.
Yeah, and
Shave's an attack. It's kind of like Onigiri.
That's something that I've wanted to preface as well, because when I've been going through my deep dive of the series at the moment, one of the things I've noticed is Shave seems to be the fastest someone can move without it being affiliated with their Devil Fruit. Like, Luffy's Gear 2 is slightly faster than Shave because it's him using Shave with his Devil Fruit. And then you've got people like Kizaru who are light, or Kuma who use movement at the speed of light, which is like beyond physical aspects, right? Yeah. Shave seems to be sort of like the stock standard, like once you know this technique, this is like the speed limit for human beings. So far, right? Movement speed, dodging speed is different to attack speed. Like up until now, I've just accepted like Kaido has Shave level attack speed, but he doesn't necessarily like defend at that same speed. You know what I mean? Being a short burst kind of combatant. Then I see this chapter, and he defends himself by shaving, avoiding a hit, and I like it. Sort of just broke that down to me, where I've just gone, Kaido just hasn't shied away from anything this arc. Like outside of Zoro's one horn cutting attack, and being told to dodge by Big Mom, Kaido hasn't really dodged outside of saying to his opponent, I can dodge this if I want to, but I'm still going to take a lot of these things head on and kick your ass. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's kind of just... It seems to me like that's kind of how Kaido would always fight. Yeah. Thing, though. I don't necessarily know if that makes him, like, stronger than he seems in this fight.
I think it's a character
flaw. I think if he fought literally anyone, he would fight them that way.
Yeah.
Like, if he fought Whitebeard, he would fight him that way. He would just take the quakes and then just get wrecked.
I think this is Kaido's character flaw. You know what I mean? Like, I know
it's just like his fighting style, I guess. Like, yeah. It's kind of like how everyone memes on Zoro because he just stands there and gets cut and cuts back.
I mean, to sort of put it into a comparison, right? Like, whenever I've seen people, like, discuss, like, who would win in a fight out of Naruto characters, it's always, this person's got this jutsu, or this person does this, therefore they just automatically win.
Yeah, it's always a one-shot.
It's always the ability makes or breaks, right? Whereas Kaido here, it's like, he's got the ability, but if he doesn't use his ability for 3 hours in the conflict, does it really ever come into play?
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he took on 16 people and Luffy multiple bouts in Gear 4, and it wasn't until like 5 or 10 minutes ago in this fight that he even was like, I'll use Future Sight once.
Yeah, true, yeah.
But he's always like, if he's always capable of Future Sight and Shave, right? Like, you got to think of how effective Katakuri was with that in the arc before. Kaido arguably could be doing stuff like that all the time if he wanted to an extent, right?
So here's what I was going to say with Shave is like, I think his use of Shave is like, he can do it with the Thunder Bagua where he just kind of dashes straight at something, and then he can do it in this case where like he's in the air and he can just kind of do like a side dash. I don't know if he can Shave in the same level that like CP0 members do,
where they can like dodge around
behind you and then stab you.
Yeah, but see, the problem is, and
he's just like, I'm just gonna go forward really quickly.
The problem is though, where it's like up until now, it's sort of been like, in a weird way, it's like that's the only way that those like people with shave have a chance against Kaido. They've got the advantage to run away.
Yeah.
Now it sort of seems like there's nowhere to run. The hills aren't far enough.
I think like if you think about shave, it's like, okay, this person can move as fast as someone can move. So unless you can also do that, you can't even keep up with them. I think how it expresses itself in Kaido isn't that. I think it's just he can go from point A to B if he wants to really quickly.
See,
It doesn't necessarily mean that he can like fight at shave speed.
So okay, let's go to the beginning of the chapter because I actually do have to ask this, right? Because obviously we see him use shave later on, right? But I actually wanted to raise a point. When Luffy throws a lightning bolt at him, did he actually use shave then? But you just can't see the initial like zoop section because it's under the lightning bolt. Because you've got the whoosh effect, and then if you scroll down to when he does use shave, you get the same sound effect.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is possible that he does that, but that's what I mean is that it's like that. Well, that's why I say like he can go forwards or he can go like sideways, for example. Because like when he dodges the lightning bolt, it's basically there's nothing around him, so if he fucks it up, he's not gonna like run into a building, right? He just kind of dashes to the side slightly,
but
which I think doesn't make him super OP. What I think would make somebody OP having shave is if they can like instantly appear behind you, facing you, and then smack you in the back.
See,
like that's crazy.
But that's sort of to an extent what happens here, because like the way I view this, right, is Luffy throws the lightning bolt. Kaido shaves to the right to dodge it. Kaido closes that gap with not a Thunder Bagua, but a Thunder Bagua-esque sort of attack. So like you know, he closes the gap there to hit him, right? Luffy bounces back, comes in with a big knee, comes in with the stomp. Kaido shaves past it and speed blitzes him, hits him in the face with it, right?
Yeah.
Follows through and then transforms into his even beefier hybrid form to follow through with a secondary Thunder Bagua, which is another shave-based attack. So to me, it's like he sidesteps, closes the gap twice, and just can see, like, it's sort of like when he did the Ragnarok combo. You know what I mean? It's just like he's just going above and beyond and blitzing through. But the problem is, because I see him go side to side and forward and back in that aspect, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't really see much of a reason why, like, he may not use it like Rob Lucci, where we see that scene where Rob Lucci's shaved, and while he's in a shave, he does like a 360 run around Luffy to like sneak attack him. You know what I mean? But it's like, he seems to have enough control of shave that it's like, he can effectively dodge. You know what I mean? And
I agree, yeah.
And I think part of the problem is with this is at this point in time, I just have to come out and say it. This is something that we haven't seen Big Mom do or be capable of so far. This is something I've been actually holding out for with the Yonko and waiting to see, because attack speed is very different to movement speed or combat speed. You know what I mean? And the fact that Kaido's whipping out shave, and we never saw this from Big Mom, I mean, this could imply that Big Mom isn't capable of those speeds, and therefore she's weaker than Kaido, which does make some sense in that regard. Or maybe we just haven't seen her be able to use it, because this is something I was actually always holding out for Shanks having. You know what I mean? To make Shanks.
Oh yeah, I
mean,
I think the thing is, like, I think any like top tier, because the thing is, he's not actually. He's doing essentially what shave is, right? He's not like literally. It's not shave, the technique. He's not calling it that.
I mean, to me,
it's just moving really quickly. It's just like a sudden, extreme burst of speed.
It's a burst where he leaves an after shadow, right?
Yes.
But to me,
because of how quick it is.
Yeah, but to me, it's like that's the difference between saying Armament Haki and Iron Body. You know what I mean? Just because they give it a specific technique name, because it's something they train to do as like a skill.
Yeah.
It's the same thing to me.
Yeah, like I'm not saying it's inferior. I just mean like I don't think in order to move that fast you have to specifically practice this certain technique. Like I think if you're just really powerful and quick, you can just move at shave speed.
The thing,
like I could totally see Shanks just like dashing forward at shave speed without having to like study and learn how to shave.
The way I've been looking through this series at the moment, I actually might have to disagree with you there, but I think what the difference is if you're in CP, you have to train to use shave, right? If you're Kaido, You're just naturally gifted enough, like Luffy, to pick it up on your own. I
Well,
think
that's what I was gonna say. Is I would refer you to Gear 2, because I don't think when he's in Gear 2 he's actually shaving. I just
yes,
think
he
he's
is. He
just
specifically
moving really
says
quickly.
he is. He's
Yeah.
copying their shave technique.
I don't remember him ever saying
Yep.
that.
When he's doing the breakdown for it, he's like, I saw you using that technique, and I thought, oh, I can do this too. But that's why Luffy's is superior. Because of his devil fruit, he can blood dope while doing it to accommodate for it. So that's why Luffy was like outpacing Rob Lucci. Because he's using shave with a body that's more accommodating for shave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then the other thing I wanted to mention is this attack, the Death Destroyer Thunder Bagua.
Oh, yes.
If you read like the what it references,
One of the gods?
it's supposedly just like one of the Wisdom Kings, which
Yeah.
Luffy is supposed to represent one, and then it's the Enma one, God of Death Enma. So to be honest, I don't even know if this is any different to a Thunder Bagua. I think this is just a Thunder Bagua where he's like, I'm going to attack specifically
I
you with this one. Like,
will
he just named it after like
correct me if
Luffy
I'm
killing Thunder Bagua, basically.
correct me if I'm wrong, but is this the only Thunder Bug where he does in because and I've been very poignant in identifying the differences here. There's hybrid Kaido, and then there's muscle hybrid Kaido.
Mm-hmm.
And the key difference is if you actually scroll up a little bit to just after he's hit Luffy in the head and Luffy starts spinning around the lightning bolt.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Kaido, he's got a thin nose, and he's just got scaled brow, right?
Yeah.
He shaves, hits Luffy in, then he transforms into his new mode where he gets a fat nose and he gets these sort of flames on his eyebrows.
Yeah, right. I see that.
So to me, the difference is this. I could be wrong here, but this may be the first time he does a Thunder Bagua in his full muscle form, which is slightly more powerful than his hybrid form, where he would have done Thunder Baguas in the past, which is stronger again than he. So from memory, it's like a Thunder Bagua is what he does in human form. A Supreme Thunder Bagua is what he does in his hybrid form, and then Death Destroyer Thunder Bagua is what he does in his muscle hybrid form.
Right.
So I think it's just like amping up to say like he's hitting him just a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm.
Which, mind you, Luffy eats this. Like
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's crazy because he's getting wrecked this whole fight, but he's just eating it all and then fighting back.
yeah. So
That's what I mean by like it's really weird to see because it's like, so does that mean Luffy is just goofing around or like he's a worse fighter, but his fruit is just that much better?
I would
He can just
say
take a clobbering and still win. It's really confusing.
one of the big things about Luffy's fruit is it's always had a really significant damage negating component to it.
Yeah.
Now at this point in time, because of the craziness or the Looney Tunes aspect of it, or the Toon Force aspect of it, I would say his damage reduction has come back in a very significant way, where he's able to take a lot of these hits. Where if this was any other character with any other fruit, regardless of their level, these same hits are doing a lot more actual damage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And by the way, he's done this exact thing before where he got hit away, and then as he's like flying away, he shoots his arms out and grabs.
Yeah.
Oh no! Before he took all the punches, the Ragnarok. It was like the Gatling club, Kaido's Gatling attack.
Mm-hmm.
And then Luffy like got knocked away, and then just immediately Gatlinged him back because he was like flying away, almost passed out. It's just take the hit. Looks like half dead, but then just punch Kaido back.
The thing that messes with me here, which I love, but I'm like, what the hell, right? Is Luffy literally stretches Kaido's titty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he turns Kaido's chest rubbery so he can keep that grip. And we've been talking about this for ages. Like, Luffy's bare grip strength without his devil fruit is strong enough to, like, shatter inch-thick steel and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like, this man is embedded in here, in this Yonko's chest. He is not letting go for dear life. You know what I mean? And then
It'd be funny if Kaido was like, "You're gonna ruin my physique."
And then we get this craziness
Give
where
me
Kaido
guns.
does a new version of the Dragon Twister where his torso can send out the projectile sword slashes, which are invisible, mind you. And do you have any idea how much this messes with me? Like,
Yeah, it's hard to tell though, because when you think about it, his his body is like coiled up a
yeah,
lot like a snake,
yeah,
and as it like unravels itself, I'm assuming it's like
yes,
shooting them off.
yes.
So the thing to notice is that they're not just casually flying off of him. He does have to like kind of like do something.
He's got to
The
sort of
same way
move
that
his
like
body
before
to
he had
send
to
him.
like swing his club.
Yeah.
Yeah, like before he had to like swing his club. So it's not like there's no projection. If you get what I mean. Like he's
Yes.
not just gonna stand there with his arms crossed and just fire them at you without blinking.
But, mind you... Oh, I mean, he can look at you and exhale and do this, apparently. Oop, my vacuum's going off there. But yeah, he can breathe and do this. He can do this with his club, and he can do this with his body if he moves his body in a specific way. That is ridiculous. What's more ridiculous is this same attack took off Kiku's arm, no problems, and this goes
Just
through
one of the blades.
and this goes through Luffy's all of his joints. Like it goes through either of his arms and his legs. And Luffy's just like, ugh. That just shows how much of a difference in durability he's gotten because of this crap.
Yeah.
Like, it is crazy. And okay, I've sort of got to follow up and ask you this now, right? Is this the best fight in One Piece?
It's really hard because it's really long. I think for you to make like a proper gauge, you would have to read the whole fight straight. Because like for example, like I remember watching the Lucci versus Luffy fight, and I wasn't red hot on it, and everybody else really loved it. But then when I actually read the entire fight start to finish with everything else cut out of it, it was a really cool fight.
Yeah, that...
So I think I would have to, once this fight's over, get all the chapters or all the panels where it's just them fighting and read the whole fight.
I think when you do that, one of two things is going to happen. Number one, you're going to be like, fuck, Kaido's a god. Because he's just dumbstering on so many people and doing so much. Number two, you're going to be like, what the hell does Conqueror's Haki even do in a fight? Like, does it do the same thing as Rio or Advanced Rio? Or does it just do something completely different? Or does it do nothing? And it's just sort of like a flex to be like, hey, I can do this. Because it's like, it hurts Kaido when Luffy Advanced Conqueror's Haki's up his fist, right? So coding yourself in Advanced Conqueror's Haki somehow bypasses Kaido's scales or damages you regardless.
Yeah.
Whereas with Rio, it's like it bypasses the scales and damages him inside out. You know what I mean? So it's like, what is the actual difference? We've got Ged in the chat. Hello, Ged. It's about to end next chapter. We might see those lanterns as a platform for the Alliance and Beast Pirates, in which Momo can create a small flame cloud to support their weight. Okay, let's cover this. Okay, the lanterns are going up, and the way the chapter ends, it's set up that Kaido's coming down, right? Like it, I don't think Kaido's gonna dodge this. I think this is actually gonna hit Kaido, and it's pretty damn big, and it's gonna do a lot of damage. And I think a lot of people are gonna see Kaido sprawled out on his back because of this, right? But, and I'll put these ideas in your mind here. One, like we were saying before, Oda said Luffy's not gonna just beat Kaido with one, like with a strong punch. We've already talked a little bit, but like, whether or not this would count or not, because of all the advancements in Haki, it's sort of up in the air, right? But the next thing is Oda going to end Kaido no different to how he ended the fight between Luffy and Doflamingo? Because this is near identical, isn't it? Luffy...
Yeah, except instead of punching up, he's punching down.
No, because Luffy, when he beat Doflamingo, Luffy was above him with the King Kong gun.
Oh, yeah.
And flattened him face out into the town. And the same thing looks like it's going to happen here with Kaido. The problem I find is I feel like if that happens, Kaido's going to be out for like 30 seconds. We're going to start to celebrate, and then he's going to get back up. Because I think the point of that's going to, like, so far, we've had Kaido sort of successfully deal with everything that Luffy's done to any other opponent. You know what I mean? Like,
tell you what I could see happening. So they're over Wano, but they're not over like
the capital.
Flower Capital, right?
Yeah.
We always talk about how, like, in order to open the borders of Wano, they've got to knock the Wano down to the ocean. Could be this punch
knocks him through.
Kaido literally goes through Wano itself,
yep.
and then basically collapses Wano into the ocean.
Yeah. I've definitely thought of that, but I sit in an interesting retrospective spot here, because if this is the final punch, I don't know if this is satisfying enough. So far,
yeah, well, I mean,
this is
like I was saying at the start, I agree.
This is the single most impressive feat of Haki. Being able to coat an island's worth of something in Haki is impressive.
In Rio Haki as well.
Conqueror's Rio Haki, yeah. So, first things first, this is the most impressive feat we've seen on screen from Haki. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But part of me wants to say it's not as simple as big power up and it's over. Part of me wants to say that this is going to parallel more of the Luffy versus Moria situation, where Luffy gets a big power up and is incredibly amazing and beats the living shit out of Oars and Moria, and we think that's it. They're sprawled out and they're done. And then Moria gets back up for just a few more minutes. You know what I mean?
So what I would say is, I think if this isn't the final punch, there has to be a reason for it. Like, something has to happen after it. It can't just be more of the same fighting when the fight is over. So what I reckon would have to happen is, you know how Kaido was saying in this chapter that, like, Haki is all, like, fruits don't matter that much. Haki is way better.
Yep.
It would have to be basically Kaido takes this hit and says, "Wow, that was a really big hit, but your Haki just
wasn't enough.
Normal Conqueror's Rio just isn't enough to take me out. It'll hurt me, but it won't take me out ever." And then Luffy basically has to learn like a whole nother level of Haki in order to beat Kaido, which is like Roger level Haki.
See, what I see this as, and to put this in a video game's perspective, this is in One Piece Treasure Cruise. When it first started up, this is when you use Whitebeard's special. You know what I mean? This one attack here is like a big 30% HP cut. And it can take you down to 1 HP. But it can never actually technically kill you, because it's only 30% of your HP sort of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To me, this is... People are saying Kaido's tired, but it's not reaching his face. He's pulling out new techniques and doing more. If anything, it's seeming like Kaido's more focused on the fight than he is holding Onigashima. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So to me, it's like, this attack here is to be... If this isn't to finish him, and if it is to finish him, I feel like we haven't resolved... Like, you can't have Kaido go down before Orochi goes down. Orochi needs to have already been dead, right? And the way this chapter sets it up, it seems like Orochi's going to be alive for a chapter more, where, say, maybe Denjiro comes in to defend Hiyori and takes him down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We still don't know where the final road poneglyph is that Kaido had on the island. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's a sprinkling of a few mysteries, and maybe all that stuff will just like magically fall into place once we win and we're in the post arc sort of little side story section, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it feels more like the only set piece we haven't been to in Wano is Mount Fuji, right?
Yep.
And Luffy and Kaido both show here that they can fly.
Mm-hmm.
I look at this and I'm like, this needs to be the thing that takes Kaido down to defeatable. Like, this needs to be the thing that gets rid of, like, the absurd amount of HP left. Without beating him. And then it, like, makes it possible maybe for Luffy to beat Kaido in, say, like, a Gear 4 or something. Or even in base.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this is, like... Because realistically, right? Every One Piece villain has ended on their back. Or on their face or whatever. Like, every time we beat the big bad, they're laying down. They're not conscious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If we do this with Kaido here, is Kaido going to be unconscious in his dragon form, go back into his human form? Like, how are we going to, like... Because there's got to be an aspect of this. Like, the civilians don't know this is happening right now. You know what I mean? There's got to be an element of, like, you've seen a new god defeat your old god. So it has to have, like, a godly aspect to it. And it may just be like, you know, the fist, the hand of God coming down and just taking out Kaido. But to me, it feels like this is the moment where the townspeople are going to be like, oh my God, we've got hope. We've got hope to hit that final section of tension where Kaido gets up one more time and it's like, what? Because, like, the way I look at this right now, the raid hasn't failed. Because all of Kaido's forces are essentially beaten. Right? But we can still fail to beat Kaido. And this has come back down to a one-on-one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I sit in a very interesting middle ground here where I'm like, if this is the end of it, it's like, okay, this is the end, but it feels... There's a lot of reasons why it feels wrong for this to be the end. Whereas there's a few good reasons why it feels right for this to be just the final step. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think I kind of like I was saying at the start, like I also don't want this to be the final punch. I mean, you gave a lot of reasons that I would accept for why like it couldn't be. But that's the thing is, I just think if this isn't the final punch, I'm expecting something else to happen. So either one of them needs to get another power up, or Kaido has like a whole new form, and Oda wants to like draw the fight out even way longer, or they just want to have more time for Kaido to say things, because it seems like this whole fight, Kaido loves telling me secrets. It's like he knows a lot of stuff and he loves just babbling on about it as they fight. So maybe even just they want more time for to be like just more information about the world, about Roger and Haki and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say if this doesn't end it, it has to be for a reason.
Yeah.
I think if this does end it, what I can see happening is him, like I was saying before, like punching him through Wano, dropping Wano into the sea, and then basically we just get a shot of Kaido in human form sinking to the bottom of the ocean with his eyes open or something.
See,
he's still conscious, but he's like so tired and he's in the ocean. So it's kind of like, ooh, does he come back or not?
I can't even really like lie at this point in time as well, because it's like, oh, I mean, first things first, as a fish fruit eater, could he be the only devil fruit user that's ability lets him not die in the water even if he can't move? Kind of like what Jack had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would actually be really interesting. That is something that I could definitely be like, oh, that would be cool. You know, like Kaido.
You know how Luffy can still stretch in the water even if he doesn't have much energy? It's like maybe he can like control the water to like lift him out of the water. He can't move his body and swim, but he can basically just like lift himself out of the water.
That'd be interesting.
He can control weather and elements and stuff.
Like, he can't move, but like big dragon, like a water dragon, just stuck in the water. He's unable to move, and he sort of looks and he's just like, I need to try and produce a flame cloud to lift me. That would be interesting. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, if he produces a flame cloud like under him, and then it creates like bubbles, and then he can like ride the bubbles to the top or some crazy shit.
That'd be interesting. That'd be a cool thing, because it's like
I think if that happens and if he gets knocked into the water, like the fight's over. He might come back later as like an ally or just another party, but I don't think he'd come back for this fight.
All I'm really sort of saying is, at this point in time, right? When Luffy did the Storm Gatling and punched Crocodile through bedrock, Crocodile went so high in the air and landed right down in the middle of everyone. And everyone knew. And when they saw him hit the ground and that first drop of rain hit, there was that sense of it's over. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This hit here, say it punches Kaido all the way through the island and explodes the island. The people aren't going to see him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not going to hit that same way. That would feel more like the end of Sky Island, where it's like we never really defeated Enel. He just sort of got knocked, like he got his shit knocked, and then he bailed.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
But like Crocodile sprawled out. The people saw there was like the emotion, and I don't know about you. This chapter hit me harder than any other chapter in Wano, I think, for sympathizing for the samurai, because it starts off and like the two lines that hit me the most were when the civilians were saying like, I hope we can make it till next year.
Yeah, that was sad.
Like that hit me because I was like, man, from my perspective, it's like you know what it's like living and you've got like you had a bad week and you're just living for your weekend, your 1 day or 2 days to just like, yeah, I've got it. 1 day a year where you're not starving, abused, watching what you say, on the like any moment could be your last. You know what I mean?
The idea that when the sun rises, you'll be slaves again.
Like that was just like oof, right?
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of that, and do you know what? You've actually just given me a great point here, but on the flip side of that, right? The soldiers up here that are like, man, I'm happy to die as long as my wife is safe. I got a girl back home, man. I got kids. I don't care. Just end me now. I don't have a problem. As long as I know that Kaido's not going to wake up, we're going to be good. You know what I mean? Like those two sections hit me so hard. It was the first time I genuinely, like, I've felt sorry for the scabbards. And I've felt sorry for the overall situation in Wano. But I've never had, like, an emotional connection to the people where I've been like, oh. Outside of maybe Yasui. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This built up a emotional connection to me. And, like, to me, I saw that and I feel that. And I see the way this chapter ended and I go, that's Oda laying the groundwork. Because it's not gonna... The most exciting thing isn't going to be that Luffy beat a Yonko. It's going to be the sense of freedom that everyone else on the island gets when they see that he's out.
Yeah.
And that happened with Crocodile. That happened with Rob Lucci. When Rob Lucci got taken out, the Straw Hats, that sense of relief hit. You know what I mean? When Moria gets sprawled out and everyone gets their shadows back. Chef kiss.
Yeah.
When Doflamingo gets flattened through the earth. And the second that hits, you can see it on all the civilians' faces because they knew what was happening. You know what I mean? We are in a sense of emergency, but it's sectional. It's not really going to affect the people at all. And maybe maybe Oda's going for that because he just wants it to be like you wake up one morning and all of a sudden your nightmare's over. But history does say that, like, Oda's writing style is the people need to see, because seeing is believing. What did Kaido say when he kicked Luffy's ass? I should have brought his body back, because they won't believe me. They will hold out for hope. The citizens need to see a body in some way, shape, and or form. You know what I mean? And I don't know, like, if this punch just punches him and he just goes straight down to the ground in front of the Flower Capital and that's it, that's kind of lame. If this punch hits him and sends him all the way through Onigashima, all the way through Wano and like blows out the bottom and then we drop the ground and all of a sudden we're open borders, that'd be sick. But would we see Kaido? Because wouldn't he be buried under all that shit?
Well, you wouldn't see him knocked out at the end, but you would see him getting punched. Like they would look up into the sky and they would see the giant fist descending upon Kaido.
See, I would
like dragging him down.
I would say yes, except even in this chapter, we see everyone looking up in the sky, and they still can't even see Onigashima because of the clouds surrounding Onigashima.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the idea would be that like when he does hit him down, it lands like kind of close to
Yeah.
the flower capital, but
Now,
not on the flower.
my view of this is he needs to land close for them to get like for Luffy to get their attention.
Mm.
Because the final hit, the one that really does end it all, I feel like needs to be witnessed by everyone. It, like we are 1,050 chapters in almost of this story. This is the point that they're going to be singing songs about 200 years in the future. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like this is like the Moon Princess, that song that Hiyori plays, right? There's gonna be a new like bloody shamisen song about Luffy, the God Slayer. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's like I don't know. I feel like there's a touch more to garner the attention of the civilians for that impactful end, because I feel like we just haven't gotten that happen yet. You know what I mean?
No.
That said, it is in a precarious state where it's like this just could be it. It's so Oda's done such a good job of just like shit. Have they? Haven't they? You know what I mean? The only thing I would say
I
is
don't remember like with the schedule, we've got next chapter, then there'll be a break again.
yep.
So
So
it might be a good time to.
next chapter, Kaido's beaten. Chapter comes back from break, Kaido gets back up.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, it's hard.
Okay, so Luffy hits him.
Yep.
Puts him in. Let's say he puts him into Wano, doesn't go through it, because let's say the fight's going to continue, right? He puts him into Wano, but doesn't continue it. Then Kaido gets back up. Now are they finishing the fight on Wano? Is that what you think?
I think the fight elevates to the only set piece in Wano we haven't been to.
They just like fly over to Mount Fuji.
Mount Fuji is right above the capital.
Mhm.
Right? So I would see it more like if Luffy punches Kaido into a big ass crater, and like the civilians like run down and look down in the crater, and we get that retouched scene of like, remember when Kaido fell from Sky Island?
Yeah.
And he gets up out of the crater and it's like, fuck. Right? We get Luffy's version of that. But then Kaido just goes flying back up into the air to get Luffy. Or maybe not. Maybe there's a break in between, because it's like, honestly, after this punch, I think Luffy's done for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think this is going to take him out of Gear 5, probably. Don't you?
Yeah, I can see that.
So it's like...
The thing is, though, is I think after this, like, Luffy's going to need serious medical attention and, like, a week at least of rest.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
this isn't like a give him some meat and he'll be back to fighting.
I don't disagree, but do you know what the problem is here? There is so many get out of jail. Like, I mean, shit. Mr. Miyagi's got that full health for double damage later. Miracle drug. It's been used on Zoro already. You know what I mean? There's like, there's enough things present in the arc set up already that if Luffy ran out of gas, he could get a second wind.
I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like him to essentially lose again.
Yeah.
Have to get a second.
See,
I think this has to be it.
I don't think he needs to, though. Because instead of him losing again, it's we think he's done, he goes out of Gear 4 and he's just out for a second. Just for a split second, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kaido gets up, then Luffy gets up. Like he did against Katakuri and like he did against Moria. Because I don't know if you remember, there was a scene where they like took out Oars Moria and Luffy was out and everyone was down. The entire Straw Hat crew was down and it was like that was all they had. Then Moria gets back up, does Shadow Isengard, and all the Straw Hats just like get back up on their feet, even though they were all essentially just dead. right? They all get back up and they're
Mhm.
like cracking their necks and that. And it's like, right, we got like 2 minutes. Let's do it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And even then, it only took 2 more hits to take out Moria.
Mhm.
But it's like, I could say the same sort of thing happening here potentially. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because
You know what's crazy? To the people of Wano, the big bad evil guy is Orochi,
yep.
and Kaido is like the dragon god that looks over them that they can never defy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
If they look up and they see Luffy as sun god, adding that they're like evil dragon god that they despise, that is like a literal to them. That is a literal battle of the gods in heaven. They're in the sky fighting a giant fist hitting a dragon. Like Luffy is like literally god mode. Like he's
So,
like an actual god compared to a normal civilian. If I right now looked up in the sky and I saw Luffy and Kaido fighting in the sky like they are right now, I would be like, gods, like Greek gods and shit, like real in this world.
do you want my last reason why I reckon this may go on for a bit longer?
Hmm?
We've set the lanterns up. We're in the sky. Onigashima's shrouded in mist, right?
Hmm?
What have the scabbards been spouting since day one?
Dawn?
We will bring the dawn to Wano.
Yeah.
What would be more fitting than the hit that Luffy does to beat Kaido is as sun rises.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That'd be cool.
Luffy having awakened his fruit, being essentially Joy Boy, bringing the dawn to Wano. And that's just in visual symbolism alone.
I mean, you could even have it right now where Luffy's fist comes down.
Clears the
Kaido
skies.
like basically clashes the fist with everything that he has, splits the skies, and then now there's sun above the clouds, and then he still gets overwhelmed and taken up by the punch. So
Potentially.
basically what happens is all the people are partying, they throw their lanterns up in the sky, then they hear like a big crack, and they look up, and then there's this sunlight,
Conquerors
and
is
they
meant
see
to
this
split the
giant
sky.
fist. Yeah, and then there's this giant fist descending on the dragon. That would be a pretty cool.
But you get me there, where it's like, it's set up so much for this arc specifically, for the dawn to be the most important thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, even
It
with...
is true, and I guess like the sun isn't up yet, right? Like
No.
it's yet to rise
Yeah.
because it's still nighttime because they're still throwing the lanterns up.
Yeah.
It's probably close to it,
Yeah.
but it'll be like 3 a.m. or something.
Yeah. So it's really one of those things where it's just like, would Oda miss that chance with that symbolism, with that imagery? You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's hard. It's hard because I mean, Kozuki means like frost moon. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like a lot of the symbolism is the people that were currently in charge of Wano represent the moon and the night, right?
Yeah.
And we've had so much symbolism and mythology built around Luffy bringing the dawn. And yeah, I think it's going to be more significant later, but does it really make sense to you for this arc not to end with the dawn? And
Yeah. The only thing is, also, I don't know. The thing is, like, I could totally see it. Dawn rises as Luffy beats Kaido, but it could also just be that like Luffy beats Kaido, and then at like those couple of chapters at the end of every
yeah,
arc, you just see the dawn rise, and then it's like a emotional moment.
see, it's great, and there's a lot that can go for it either. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I'm just keen because I still like, dude. If this is it, you got to think we've got 6 poneglyphs to read. The only other thing that's just like is what the hell was going on with the Kokeshi dolls underneath Orochi's castle with the poneglyph.
Was that?
Kokeshi dolls. You don't remember that?
Oh, really?
When we found our first poneglyph, Brooke was like, you know the terracotta warriors, the stone statue
Yeah.
warriors. There's like uh, that made out of Kokeshi dolls, all underneath Orochi's castle in the basement, surrounding a poneglyph.
Right.
I'm like, there's so many weird things that when this arc ends, I'm like, we can't just run away. There's got to be. I need answers for some of this weird shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, we need to find one more poneglyph here. We've got to answer the Kokeshi dolls. We've got to celebrate and have all that good times happening, right? But then it's like, shit, who arrests Kaido? And again, like, shit, Kaido's been beaten 8 times. Or 7 times.
Mm-hmm.
It's like... And, dude, Kaido really gasses up Haki this chapter, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
I love it! I'm here for it. It is nourishment to me that Kaido's all about that Haki hype. Because all that says moving forward is anyone worth their salt is going to be a master of Haki. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which, to me, I genuinely feel like... I genuinely feel like it's like them being like, dude, the Admirals, they're going to have Haki because the Marines are going to have Haki because, trust me, when the world government's the final big bad villain, and you've got Luffy, Zoro, Yamato, I mean, shit, Kid, when you got like 30 Haki, Conqueror's Haki users on one side, you're going to need them on the other side too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this also just gasses to me Garp. Because Garp is just a dude with a big right hook. Some armament, some advanced armament, maybe even some conquerors. I don't know. I mean, his kid and his grandkid both have it. Why wouldn't he? You know what I mean? So it's like... That statement just gets me hyped because it's like... It's sort of like Future Sight, you know what I mean? The fact that Kaido ended up having Future Sight was like, yes, thank you. Because there was a part of me that was scared there when none of the Beast Pirates had advanced Haki. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, part of me was like, we've been building it up so much, are you really going to pull the rug out from under us and be like, yeah, but it doesn't matter that much? Because it's like, I mean, shit, I think everyone thought King was going to have advanced armament prior to his fight with Zoro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think after Katakuri, everyone expected every first commander to have one advanced technique.
Yeah, but I mean, King just had his body, I guess.
Yeah, but that's it. King and Marco are just sort of the dudes that flap their wings and do their thing, right? Really, Katakuri's Katakuri's the standout until we see Ben Beckman and Shiryu. Katakuri's a standout because it's just like, yeah, my mum's not really a good captain, so I guess I am the captain now. You know, like, Big Mum's out at sea, Katakuri's walking around like, I am the captain now. Look at me, I am the captain. You know what I mean? Mm. Which, mind you, pisses me off that this chapter we didn't get to see the next section of that cover series.
Yeah, true.
Because I just want to know who the hell I just want, like, if it's just the Vince Smokes, show us the Vince Smokes, please. Don't tease me like that.
Yeah, no.
Because I want.
It's annoying because it's like everyone. It's one of those things. It's like everyone always like assumes. Obviously, you would assume. Okay, it's probably the Vince Smokes. But then it's like part of you is always like, oh, but is it?
Oh my god! What if whoever it is, regardless of who it is, right? What if they break in all the way into Whole Cake Island to free the Vince Smokes, right? And they start fighting their way out and say, like, Katakuri and that's injured or not present or whatever, you know what I mean? Only for them to get to the edge of the territory and it to sync up with real-time events where Big Mum's crew is bringing Big Mum back from Onigashima. And it's like, perfect time to invade, and right at the last second, Big Mum's just there.
Yeah.
How, like, because, you know, some of these cover series, like, they started going for, like, 50 chapters. You know what I mean? So it's like, in 50 chapters, when we're at chapter 1100 of One Piece, that could be pretty mind-blowing, couldn't it? Like, just think about that. Dude, the Vince folks double back around to go get their crew while Big Mom's not there, only for Big Mom to show up right at the end and them just feel like, oh, we're so screwed, man. What the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up about the chapter?
Necessarily, it was pretty straightforward.
Good chapter. I think
Really good chapter.
I think realistically, the next chapter is going to be the craziest part. Although, have you seen people size scaling? Onigashima is roughly the same size as Marineford, the island.
Yeah.
So Luffy punching at the end of this chapter, you see Luffy's fist actually as roughly the size of Onigashima completely.
Yeah.
Could you imagine this man Luffy now if he was trying to save Ace?
Oh yeah, nah, he would just get him.
Bruh. Like, everyone else may not be safe, but Luffy would be tearing shit up in Marineford.
He just would. He could literally grab Ace's shackles and just stretch them.
Hey, oh, I don't know, Sea Stone. It might just mess him up that way.
Don't know.
Oh.
Never know. Ridiculous.
Yeah, true. Maybe he just gets Ace and stretches Ace's arm out of the cuffs.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
Ace's
Actually,
power
yeah.
is nerfed, but Luffy's isn't.
Yeah.
Or better yet, you know when Whitebeard sends out that Quake Shock wave and the Admirals block it? Luffy turns the stand into rubber, so they're about to block it with Haki, and then the stand just stretches back and slingshots Ace off the island. It's gonna be crazy going forward though, because I don't know about you, but I feel like there is a few visual images set up for the future of One Piece. For example, we're just talking about the Dawn. I also feel like whenever we have the final war, we have to have some of the war in Merijoa, because I don't think like Im's gonna leave Merijoa, and there seems to be a lot of secrets around the basement and that there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that mixed with Fishman Island means we've got to travel back to that location. If we travel back to that location, I forgot what I was saying. I just had a complete mind blank. No, but before I started talking about Marijoa, there was something that made me think about it to lead to the point.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, it's the Straw Hats have got to get back to Marijoa and that. You got the whole. There's a lot of setup there with Im and that. It'd be really interesting to see how. Oh, images. There we go. In my mind. There we go. You know how we have the fishmen wanting to go up to the surface and see the sun?
Yep.
I'm telling you, when the final war starts, I need this image, and I've got it in my head. I feel like it's right there. Remember when Shirahoshi was going up the gondola and saw the sun and the ocean for the first time from above?
Yep.
I need to see an image like that from like the perspective of Marijua and like the world government defending themselves, or even like from the admirals and that, and you see it's nighttime and dawn breaks, and as dawn breaks, the Straw Hat Grand Fleet and Luffy is just coming over that sunrise horizon.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You know what I mean? Like you can see it in your mind, can't you? Just the literal curvature of the earth, and you're just seeing
they're like sailing with this sun.
Yeah, and there's just this massive fleet. Because to me, that really is what bringing the dawn is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can't wait to see that sort of stuff. Honestly, does how well Kaido's going here, does this hurt Big Mom's portrayal to you? Or does this just mean like Law and Kid really won on a ring out technicality? Because, I mean, shit, Big Mom really be out here with all three advanced Hakis. Well, we don't know about observation, really. But, like, she was doing some cool stuff and some impressive stuff. But it's like, Kaido's been out here fighting a higher tier person for a long time.
Like it seems like Kaido could have eaten everything that they hit Big Mom with, and he would have been fine, like
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
Like,
the amount of stuff that he's taken.
and like I understand that Big Mom only lost because she got ring out. Like all it was is they took out her foot and they got her off the island. That's it.
Yeah.
Like they get the emotional win, but they didn't knock Big Mom out. They didn't KO
Yeah,
her.
she could have just gotten back up.
But it's like even still, like how many times has Luffy hit Kaido with Advanced Conqueror's Rio? Like it's a lot.
There's a lot.
I don't think Big Mom's taken the same number of hits.
Yeah.
By a significant margin.
A significant margin, yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but like, I understand like law breaking your bones from the inside out, but this rubber man here turning your face into a bloody sponge and putting his fist through it. That would, I mean, like, if Luffy did that to Big Mom while Big Mom was blocking her arm, right? Wouldn't that just be the same thing as Law's awakening there and just break Big Mom's arm? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. I don't know. Like, I love the insane big girl, but it's like the longer Kaido is showcased well,
The longer Kaido survives, yeah.
and
It's just making Big Mom look worse and worse and worse.
and I could see the flip side of it. Like, do you think Big Mom has a potential to come back? Because Luffy keeps saying he wants to beat Big Mom 1v1. Could she come back for Elbaf, and Luffy just take her out?
I think there's a potential.
Because if that's the case,
I don't know if I'd like it. I think if it does happen, I'd want it to be quick. I'd want it to just be like a fight and then it's done. Like no big build up, no entire
like
arc
she
based
shows
around it.
up and it's just like let's give it a volume of Luffy just beating her.
Yeah, like kind of like a Zoe arc, right? Where he's just kind of like talking to the people, like he's not actually fighting the inhabitants of the island. But then like Big Mom shows up, beats Big Mom, all the giants
But
are like, oh thanks, we don't like her.
If that's the case, I would want Luffy in Gear 5 off jump. I would want Luffy to go quick, hard, and fast, because I don't want, like, I don't care to see Big Mom in a long drawn out fight as long as this. Like, screw the emotional connection of the Wano arc, right? From chapter 1000 to 1047, if you took all the Luffy vs Kaido scenes, I don't want to see that again for Big Mom.
Yeah. The thing is that like now that Luffy's like taking down a Yonko, I don't even necessarily know if I want like a huge arc revolving around Blackbeard either. I just kind of want them to like meet on the ocean.
Throw hands, get me to One Piece.
Meet on the ocean or meet on some island for some reason.
I would say the flip
like,
side of that is the world government. Like show me all the nitty gritty dirty shit in the world, because
it needs to be like a massive war.
I really hold hope that whatever we find out for the world government, we're really gonna have to question whether or not it's the greater of two evils. Like when the Void Century happens, like we know that the Marines they're essentially only humans, right?
Yeah.
They've got giants now within the last 80 years because of Carmel. That's it, right? They don't have any other race or anything going for them. You know what I mean? So they seem a little racist. They've taken over other species and enslaved them, right? They are definitively the bad guys. But I want to see the flip side of it, where if say what would have happened if the roles were reversed 1,000 years ago, where giants, fishmen, long arm, long legs, and that. What if they abused humans? You know what I mean? And
like it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. It was just two really shitty kingdoms fighting each other.
Yeah, like
and the shittiest one won, but they were both shitty.
Yeah, it's like because we're looking at it, and there's a level, because it's Luffy. There's a level of like Luffy's gonna have the right answer, and there's gonna be a world peace to an extent, and sunshines and rainbows and lollipops. Yeah. But like, what if we get there and it's like, yeah, Luffy's gonna do his thing because Luffy's a good guy, but it's like low key. It's like at the end of it, it's like, what has the world government done? They've allied multiple nations around the world and just tried to gain military power. They're technically allied with the fishmen, right? They're trying to ally with the giants, right? Even though that stuff's only been in the last like 100 or 200 years, it's like it's like the difference of like, you know, a really messed up regime being in charge, but it eventually being
There's
watered down
progression.
over time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
I
like,
mean, look at the US, right?
yeah, like are we gonna look at the world government and be like, well, yeah, they do terrible stuff and they could probably do without the celestial dragons and that, but it's like, do we pull that down that whole system if that's better today than
Yeah.
what you want to make for tomorrow and then what it was 1,000 years ago?
It could be like in a couple of 100 years, they're like, yeah, can you imagine how the world government once like took out O'Hara just for like trying to learn about the Void Century? Like that's awful. They've taught us that now.
Yeah.
You know, they've gotten so progressive that it like. But and the other thing is that like we assume at least that Im has been leading the world government the entire
Yes.
time. Normally, you would think that they wouldn't really have any kind of like progressiveness to
Yep.
their society. It would just be like what Im wants goes, and he doesn't change his mind.
But it
So they have been kind of
seemingly Im changes wants and needs
Yeah.
based on the world to keep himself in power.
yeah.
You know what I
True.
mean?
Yeah.
So it's like there's a level of it where it's like the plot twist we're getting might not be what we think it is. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it definitely leaves us in an odd situation where it's just like we're in the end game. We're over 1,000 chapters in. This isn't like we're not setting stuff up anymore. We're well past halfway, right? This is setting up the final resolutions for stuff in the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at best, we've got like 3-4 arcs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we're really here, and it's like, I mean, once Luffy can beat an Emperor of the Sea, and like what outside of if they make a 2-piece, and it's like, what's the next generation of rookies doing to get stronger? There's not really going to be any threats to Luffy, is there?
No.
So I don't know.
Could always go the route of just dying at the end.
Ooh. I could see it. I could definitely see it. It would hurt, but I could see it.
I mean, the idea though is that like his ultimate goal, he doesn't want to lead anything, right?
No.
He just wants to like be free and sail around the seas.
I think
It's entirely possible that like at the very end of the series, he just like saves the whole world and everything, overthrows the government and everything, but then he just goes, "All right, I'm gonna go sailing. Bye."
yeah, could be. I mean,
And you know that way, it doesn't really matter that no one can challenge him. That just means you can't kill this one random ship on the ocean. Not really gonna
it
like
def-
anybody around.
it would definitely be interesting to say the least.
Because freedom kind of like is in his very nature. So like I doubt he would ever really even tell somebody what to do, unless he's just like stop being a dick. Like it's kind of all he would ever. It's like the only like really ideology he ever like forces upon people is like stop being evil.
Even then, it's really subjective. Like, he doesn't have a problem with people being evil as long as it's just not evil in front of him or to people he cares about.
Yeah, true. He doesn't like take it upon himself to right the wrongs. He just stops
Like-
if he sees it.
Luffy says it best. It's like, I'm not a hero, but, you know, like when he fought Katakuri, it's like, you know, just because I take this fight as an honorable one-on-one fight doesn't mean you have to.
Mhm.
So it is very well within his nature, which is, I mean, yeah, it's why we love Luffy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That being said, I think we're gonna wrap the stream up there. Is there anything else, any predictions or anything you want to say that we haven't covered?
No, I'm pretty happy.
Pretty happy. I think this was a solid 9 out of 10 chapter. Like, I liked a lot of the reveals we got from Kaido. Shave, his new Demolition Breath, upgraded Thunder Bagua. Not gonna lie though, this is gonna be one of those decisive chapters that like the next chapter is either gonna be great or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it'll definitely be really interesting to see if this is how the fight ends, because it's like once you bring out an island-sized attack from a character, it sets the precedent that why can't he just do this against anyone whenever?
Yeah, true.
So there's a level of, is it going to be enough, or is it going to be more flashy than functionality? You know what I
Like
mean?
it moves too slow or something.
Yeah. Like, hey, it may move really slow, and that's why he's got to hold on to Kaido with it. Or could you imagine if all of a sudden this turns into like a jet punch? How great! Like that would shock me. If it's like
Yeah.
if it's faster than light and just goes deuce. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just see like a beam,
Yeah.
his arm moving, like a wind pushing arm moving.
All right. That being said, gonna wrap the stream up there. Thank you all for coming. Nothing but love, nothing but respect. Eggs, say goodbye. Say all anything that you want to say.
Goodbye, or anything you want to say.
No, fair enough. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for more notifications for content like this. All that other good stuff. Peace. Nothing but love, nothing but respect. Have a good one.